So my innovation grant proposal was to reimagine the world history surveys. And they can be really boring to sit in, and they can be really boring to teach. And part of that is what we have to cover, right? So if you look at 101, you're covering from like 5000 BC all the way to 1450 AD. So if you were going to do what the textbooks do and cover the entire world, right, you do it 153 years per session, right? So like if you have 42 sessions, which is a normal semester, you have to get through 153 years of each session, which means that you get really broad spectrum, right, but you don't get any depth. So one of the ways that the history department has sort of tried to bridge that gap is to take the surveys and turn them into thematic surveys. So I know Jody teaches a thematic survey, I know Jim teaches thematic surveys, and then I'm teaching a thematic survey called Food and Culture and World History. So, and in that I would like to point out that we are ahead of the curve in terms of what the discipline is doing. The discipline is moving towards these thematic surveys, and we've already started doing that. So my project was really thinking about how do I make the classes more relevant to students, and then how do I engage students who are not in my discipline, right? So if I take the example of my World Civ, I think 28 out of 30 students are not history majors, right? If you take the example of the US History Survey, 25 out of 30 are education majors, right? So the population that I have to reach is not history students. The population I have to reach have different interests. So that is where that comes from. And so I thought, how do I get students to connect in the World History 1 survey? How do I get them to connect with ancient humans? Because we really have nothing in common, right? Different lifestyle, don't understand what they did, how they lived. So I thought food and culture was a really great way to sort of get them to see the relevance of these people. So building on the thematic course, I added this component that I'm calling the History Lab, which is an experiential component. And I'm using an active learning model called Places Text as the way to do that. So what we do is we have these fundamental and powerful concepts that we use, and we start with those, and then onto those we map on these important changes that we see. The cognitive revolution, the agricultural revolution, and then try to use food as a way to understand historical change. Food is present at all kinds of historical change. So if we use that as the center, then it allows us to then connect to the larger history and then to really deepen our maps, right? And to get more width to them, or more depth. And so I use this active learning strategy called Places Text. And this active learning model uses Clifford Geertz, sociologist, I think, his idea of mapping. We all come to whatever we do with some kind of map, right? We all think in particular ways about particular things. So if I asked the people in this room to map campus, you would take that map and it would look very different for each of us, like what we would find important, why we would find it important, and how we might represent it, right? So we take that idea, building on the classroom work that we do, and then we extend the text out into a specific place. So the history labs are really about active learning and getting out of the classroom. And the first lab that I'm doing is using the biology field station, and in collaboration with Chris Lawrence and the other staff at the biology field station, we are going to do a hunting and gathering lab. So we're going to take students out early October out to the field station to understand how ancient peoples might have used and lived along the the Ohio River. Sorry. How they might have used this area, and so that they can deepen their connection. And what I really wanted to do is to get students out into their own community and to see that these things that we read about actually have relevance to them today. So we did a dry run of this lab on Friday. I don't have any pictures for my PowerPoint because I had to turn it in before we were able to do the dry run. But we settled on how we're going to do this lab, which is essentially we will take them out, they'll get a short orientation lecture, there's going to be some stations that we set up, and then there's going to be some free exploration that they have to do. And the stations will be, how to look for edible insects, what kinds of things we're looking for in terms of the trees that we're looking for to find those edible insects, what kinds of plants are edible just straight up, and what kinds of plants do you need to cook, boil, smoke, whatever it is they need to do to make it edible. Chris wants to set up a rudimentary fish smoking station, so hopefully we can do that, and then there's one other thing that we're thinking about there. So what I proposed were 3 labs for the World Civ 1 class and 3 labs for World Civ 2. There's the hunting and gathering lab. I'm bringing somebody in to teach us about stone tool making, and then I'm hoping to get enough material to be able to make students make stone tools. And then the last one is we're going to capture yeast from the classroom, whatever classroom we're in, and we are going to make our own starter dough and make bread. They're not going to get the choice of beer. We're going to make bread with the starter dough. So those are the World Civ 1 labs, and then for World Civ 2, what I developed is taking sugar cane and showing them the process of taking it from cane all the way to a candy making demonstration. They won't get to play with hot sugar. And then we're going to do coffee roasting, and then the last thing is we're going to make that connection all the way back to World Civ 1, and the idea of nixtamalization, which is basically why ancient peoples would mix in, when they soaked the corn kernels, why they would mix in either ash or limestone, and it's actually to open up the kernel on a chemical level so that your body can process niacin, which I think is a B vitamin. And that's one thing that gets lost actually during the Columbian Exchange, so that when poor people in the old world consume corn, they think that corn has something's wrong with it. Well, nothing was wrong with corn, they just weren't able to get that B vitamin. So pellagra, that skin condition, that's where that comes from, right? So, all right, so those are the labs that I'll be doing. The basic idea behind this, again, is really, I try to put our mission at the center and then try to build around that mission, right? So I want to connect the students to products which will then allow them to understand the broader history behind them, and then also how these things are produced. I want to thank the President's Office, my colleagues, and Jody for setting this up today.